ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नाम्ने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण. So reading from Bhagavad-Gita, 3rd chapter, verse number 6. Karmendriyani samyamya ya aste manasa smaran indriyarthan vimoodatma mithyacharah sa uchyate. One who restrains the senses and organs of action, but whose mind dwells on sense objects, certainly deludes himself and is called a pretender. Purport. There are many pretenders who refuse to work in Krishna consciousness but make a show of meditation, while actually dwelling within the mind upon sense enjoyment. Such pretenders may also speak on dry philosophy in order to bluff sophisticated followers. But according to this verse, these are the greatest cheaters. For sense enjoyment, one can act in any capacity of the social order. But if one follows the rules and regulations of his particular status, he can make gradual progress in purifying his existence. But he who makes a show of being a yogi while actually searching for the objects of sense gratification must be called the greatest cheater, even though he sometimes speaks of philosophy. His knowledge has no value because the effects of such a sinful man's knowledge are taken away by the illusory energy of the Lord. Such a pretender's mind is always impure, and therefore his show of yogic meditation has no value whatsoever. Hare Krishna. So, we see sometimes material life is very difficult. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, 13th chapter, Dukh Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi Dukha Doshanu Darshanam. That means material world is a place where there is repeated birth and disease and old age and death. And not only that, there's also so many difficulties in terms of what we call the kleshas, conflicts. And what kind of conflicts? Adhyatmika klesha. My own mind troubles me. I think, I should have been maybe taller, or I should have been more strong, or I should have been richer or more intelligent. No one else cares, but my own mind is troubling me. Adhyatmika klesha. Why am I not so rich? He is so rich, I am not so rich. This is Adhyatmika klesha, my own mental concoction. Then Adhibhautika klesha. Sometimes the government sends me a notice, hey, your passport is expiring, get out of the country, or, pay your tax, or, your money is too less, pay your bills. Adhibhautika klesha. Someone else is harassing me. Or, somebody is playing rock music outside my house. Adhibhautik klesha. Always misery. And then adhidaivika klesha, you see now, is insects are biting, and then there is heat, there is cold. Adhidaivik. We have no control over this. So these kleshas. So material life means misery. Whatever position you are, whether you are in, like Srila Prabhupada gives an example, he says, in India, there is no facility. Systems are poor, government is poor, my life is so miserable. My life is so miserable. But if you go to America, so much wealth and so much prosperity, but people are miserable there also. Commit suicide, I'm unhappy, and then they commit suicide, shoot themselves with a gun, or someone else shoots them. So there is misery everywhere. Ah Brahma Bhuvana Loka Punaravartino Arjuna. My dear Arjun, right from planet of Brahma down to the lowest planet in Patal, everywhere there is repeated birth and death and misery. So there is no happiness within the material world. There may be different grades of misery and different grades of happiness, but there is always misery. So therefore, the living entities always want to make some arrangement. So because the nature of living entity is always to be happy, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinam, every living entity must be happy. So everyone makes some arrangements. And when these arrangements fail, then we want to leave this world. So therefore, there are various processes. So scriptures, the Lord is merciful. He prescribes various methods and procedures by which we can be peaceful in this life. So, it is the nature of soul to enjoy. So to what grade you want to enjoy, what you want to, how you want to enjoy. So there are different methods which are prescribed in the scriptures, which goes by the name of varnashram dharma. So ultimate aim of human life is to get out of material world. But while we are in the material world, we can, if we can restrain our senses, well and good. But if we can't restrain our senses, then certainly there are procedures given in the varnashram dharma. So if someone wants to have a companionship or company of women or men, then there is grahasthashram. You can live there according to rules and regulations and have a peaceful life and still progress spiritually without breaking the laws of nature. Because the laws of nature are very stringent. You make one mistake, laws nature will punish you. Now if I sit here just like this, some insects will bite me. Nature, that is nature. If I'm wearing a sweater, I'll start feeling hot. That is nature, laws of nature. So I have to follow. So these laws are, we have to follow these laws. So Varnashram Dharma is a facility by which we can peacefully live this life. Because if we violate these laws, then we have severe karma. So likewise, if one wants to enjoy the company of opposite sex, there is grahasthashram. When one has fulfilled his desire and enjoyed and suffered that particular situation, then one can renounce that place and become a vanprastha or a sannyasi. So at that stage, one has satiated his desires, and also one has advanced in spiritual life and understood the true nature of material world. So if one goes to the forest to become a vanprastha or a renunciate and perform the practice of yoga, then it is understood that one's mind should be pure. If one goes there to the forest to meditate and then sits in a place and starts thinking about how attractive women are, or this lady is so attractive, then that is mithya. That is mithyachara sa uchyate. That is cheating. Because you had the facility for that and you have now left it. So might as well forget about it altogether. So if you are really enamored by women, you just go and live with a woman, be a grahastha, be a gentleman. But once you have fulfilled that role, you can go and then peacefully meditate on the objective of life. So Krishna here is saying that one who meditates like that, he's called a mithyachari, a cheater. So this grahastha ashram, Sri Prahlad Maharaj defines in Srimad Bhagavatam, Matirna Krishne paratah swato mitho vipadyet grahavratanam adanta gobhir vishatam tamishram punah punashcharvita chavinanam. That a person who's determined to enjoy his senses, a person who's determined to just enjoy sense gratification, he cannot be convinced in any way. Not by his own endeavor, not by the advice of others. And he will not have controlled senses. Adanta gobhir, no restraint on senses. He'll unrestrictedly enjoy the senses. And even though he understands that there is no real enjoyment, he'll still go on trying. Punah punashcharvita charvinanam. The example given is that of sugarcane. So for those of you who might have seen in India and West Indies where the sugarcane grows, it's a big bamboo-like plant. It's full of juice. It's very hard. And when you crush it, a lot of sugarcane juice comes out. Sweet sugarcane juice. Very tasty. And if you have extracted the juice and you try to taste the wood, you'll still find some sweet taste there. So in that husk. You keep on chewing that husk, you'll keep getting that sweet taste. But you keep on chewing, the taste will reduce further and further and no juice will come out. So punah punashcharvita charvinanam, trying to chew the chewed, trying to find some taste. I lived with a woman, I suffered, now I have taken vanprastha, but I have still desire. Oh, let me try another one. Maybe this one wasn't so good. Let me try another one. If that one is a mithyachari. So if one has, like as Srila Jagadanand Pandit says in also, that that you have taken renunciation, you have taken the vow of renunciation, you have left a woman back at home. Now in the forest, please do not associate with another one, because you have now left that life behind. Nothing wrong in being a grahastha, but one should restrain the senses. One should not be an adanta gobhir. Adanta gobhir means sense gratification to no limits, and then that becomes a cause of calamity. Like Srila Prabhupada explains that in the 1930s and 40s, there was Hitler. He came and he thought, I should have my sense gratification. So, but Churchill and Stalin had their ideas of sense gratification. And in the end, there was a big war. Millions died. And what did they really die for? In the Battle of Mahabharata also millions died. But they were dying for dharma. There was Pandavas, there were Kauravas, and they were fighting for dharma, for establishing religion, religious order. But in the wars, in these material wars of Kali Yuga, there is no dharma. My sense gratification is better than yours. I am a capitalist sense gratifier. I'll be educated and rich and then I'll enjoy. But then there is a communist sense gratifier. No, everyone should enjoy equally, but we'll enjoy our senses. We'll not think of anything else. But in a sense, it's all adanta gobhir. They'll not consider, okay, you are opposing me, I will kill you. But I will enjoy my senses at any cost. There is a danger that you might also kill me, but it's okay. For the sake of my sense enjoyment, I can sacrifice my life. This is the problem of sense gratification. Adanta gobhir, no control over senses. And what is the sense enjoyment? Punaha punashcharvita charvinana. Again and again, the same thing. So sometimes, some class of yogis, they become disgusted with this sense enjoyment. So they create some philosophies. So there is karma yoga. So when they don't want to follow rules and regulations, we certainly have these wars and we have this kind of illicit sex, intoxication, and so many grades of sense gratification, illicit. But then when one progresses a little bit, one understands that this is miserable, this is, sinful, we should not do it. But mentality is still not purified. So one takes shelter of impersonalist philosophies. So we have Adi Shankaracharya, Brahman Satya Jagan Mithya. Yes, I agree. Hitler is wrong, Churchill is wrong, Stalin is wrong. What is right? Brahman Satya. There is no other truth. Actually, everything is zero, everything is one. So nihilism, Mayavad, all this. Another kind of mithya, another kind of cheating. I don't really know what is the truth, but I'll just manufacture some truth. Mayavad. Mayavadam asatshastram. Some some imaginary philosophy that I deny everything. I have suffered in this material world because of so many other people, so I will deny the existence of anybody else. There is no God also. Everything becomes one in the end. So this kind of speculative philosophies. This is also another form of mithyachar, another form of cheating. I don't know the truth, so I will not even try to find one. I will create some truth of my own. This is also false. So this is Mayavad. So Jnana Yoga. So Krishna describes this in the fourth chapter of Gita. What is Jnana? So Jnana means to speculate. So I'll just speculate. This maybe not this. Neti, not this, not this. This is not truth. That is not truth. I see this tree, but after 50 years the tree falls down. It is broken. So this is not true. I see this building. This is also gone. So this is also not true. I also die. So I am also not true. So I don't know the truth. So there is no truth. Neti. So this is another form of mithyachar, speculation. Then there is, when I become completely disgusted with everything, I try to meditate upon myself. So this is another form of mithyachar, going to the forest to meditate without knowing the object of meditation. So these are different types of cheatings, like we see yoga school. See if you go to, for example, if you go to the United States, now even in India, you'll find it in some places, yoga for good health, yoga for sex life, yoga for good relationships. This is this is nonsense. This is not the definition of yoga. Yoga means to join, to join up with a higher truth. Not that we do yoga for improving the eyesight or improving my digestion. That is not yoga. So this is also mithyachar. So different grades of mithya, all because the senses are not controlled. So therefore, Krishna has prescribed different processes. So there is varnashram dharma. In varnashram dharma, there is karma yoga. Sacrifice to the supreme. You understand the purpose of life. You also understand that you cannot follow it right now. So you follow in a scientific manner. If you want to go to the university to study rocket science, you don't just jump into rocket science and start studying it. You have to go to a high school. You have to learn some mathematics, some physics, physical sciences, and then you go to study rocket science. So Grihastha ashram and following karma yoga, that is the process. You stay in a household. You can't restrain your senses, it's all right. You follow the rules and regulations of the scriptures, live in a household like a gentleman, and sacrifice the fruits of your action to the Supreme Lord. In this way, you will be purified and you will develop knowledge, transcendental knowledge, not the speculative knowledge. And what is that transcendental knowledge? That I am Jiva and there is a Supreme Lord, and I am his servant. Jivera Sharupaya Krishnera Nityadas. So this sort of transcendental knowledge will evolve in your heart. With this knowledge, you will be able to gradually give up all the propensities or all the tendencies to enjoy the senses and become established in meditation, which is known as dhyana yoga. So, in this way, without resorting to cheating or speculation, you can gradually become purified. You don't have to give up your situation. You don't have to artificially acquire any position, but you can follow all the processes and become developed in spiritual life. You need not jump artificially. So, this is the process which is recommended in the Bhagavad Gita. So, uh, in the next verse, we have 10 more minutes to do.
20 minutes more.
Oh, good. Yeah. So, text 7, Krishna says, Yasva indriyani manasa niyam yaram bhate arjuna karmendriya karma yogam asakta sa vishishyate. On the other hand, he who controls the senses by the mind and engages his active organs in works of devotion without attachment is by far superior. Instead of becoming a pseudo transcendentalist for the sake of wanton living and sense enjoyment, it is far better to remain in one's own business and execute the purpose of life, which is to get free from material bondage and enter into the kingdom of God. The prime Swarthagati, or goal of self interest, is to reach Vishnu. The whole institution of Varna and Ashram is designed to help us reach this goal of life. A householder can also reach this destination by regulated service in Krishna consciousness. For self realization, one can live a controlled life, as prescribed in the Shastras, and continue carrying out his business without attachment, and in that way make progress. Such a sincere person who follows this method is far better situated than the false pretender who adopts show bottle spiritualism to cheat the innocent public. A sincere sweeper in the street is far better than the charlatan meditator who meditates only for the sake of making a living. So, Krishna is explaining here, we'll take one more here, but this eighth verse also completes this. Niyatam kuru karmatvam karma jayo hya karmana sharira yatra pichate na prasiddhyed akarmana. Perform your prescribed duty, for action is better than inaction. A man cannot even maintain his physical body without work. There are many pseudo meditators who misrepresent themselves as belonging to high parentage and great professional men who falsely pose that they have sacrificed everything for the sake of advancement in spiritual life. Lord Krishna did not want Arjuna to become a pretender, but that he perform his prescribed duties as set forth for Kshatriyas. Arjuna was a householder and a military general, and therefore it was better for him to remain as such and perform his religious duties as prescribed for the householder Kshatriya. Such activities gradually cleanse the heart of a mundane man and free him from material contamination. So called renunciation for the purpose of maintenance is never approved by the Lord, nor by any religious scripture. After all, one has to maintain one's body and soul together by some work. Work should not be given up capriciously without purification of materialistic propensities. Anyone who is in the material world is certainly possessed of the impure propensity for lording it over the material nature, or, in other words, for sense gratification. Such polluted propensities have to be cleared. Without doing so, through prescribed duties, one should never attempt to become a so called transcendentalist, renouncing work and living at the cost of others. So, this is particularly applicable in India also. We see so many people become sadhus because they are not educated, not work it. So let me become a sadhu and I can make a comfortable living. People will give me money. All I have to do is just wear a saffron and nobody will care. So, but Krishna is not recommending this process. See, the real goal of human life, as we have seen in the previous verses also, goal of human life is to get out of this material body. It doesn't matter whether you are a grahastha or a brahmachari or a sannyasi, whether you are rich or poor, you are going to be miserable. It's a fact. I mean, it's not something that we are, you know, introducing new. It's just a fact. Everyone becomes sick. I mean, cold, heat, everything. And we suffer, all of us suffer. And we have to do so many activities to sustain ourselves. So, in every position, whether one is married or whether one is renounced, one has to suffer. There is no happiness really per se. But we take a position where we are comfortable. So, having said that this material world is miserable, we are not some kind of pessimists or nihilists like Buddhists say. This world is just misery. Just suffer in silence because whatever you do, suffering is your destiny. No, we're not saying that. Material world may be full of miseries, but the goal of life is not to be miserable. Sarve bhavantu sukhinam. The goal of human life is to be happy. So how that happiness is to be attained, that is what scriptures are talking about. So yes, there is misery, some portion of which we have to accept, but the ultimate aim is to get out of this material body, this which is the real source of our miseries, and attain a true spiritual position where one will become free from all these miseries. So one example, very simple one, like one very senior godbrother used to give me. You know, how do we become free from miseries? What is this freedom from misery? When we become detached. For example, last week there was some match and Finland lost to Russia, and everyone was miserable. Oh, my country lost this match. Now I'm a foreigner and I don't even know football very well. So yes, okay, somebody won and somebody lost. So okay, it's okay. It's a sad thing, but I wasn't really affected. Likewise, there is some other sport match going on in some other part of the world where my country, India, is playing. Now, when India wins or loses, I may feel happy or unhappy, but no one else here, like, okay, I'm sorry your country lost, but no one really cares. You see, why is that? There was a football match, somebody won and somebody lost, but what really changed? 22 men were just running here and there in the field, and then somebody said that, okay, now you won, and someone became happy. Another one says, no, oh, now you lost, so somebody became miserable. But in reality, the ball is still there, the men are still there, the ground is still there. What has changed? So you see, this is a very gross example. But eventually, when we advance in spiritual life, we become indifferent. When my father dies, I become very unhappy. Oh, he was my father. He is dead. I'm sad. But another old man dies, and I feel sorry, sorry, the old man died. But the next day, I don't even think of it. Why is that? Yes, can you say why is that? I mean, it's just the same thing. This old man died here, another old man died there. But for one old man, I am miserable for years. Another old man, yes, Prabhu.
Because we are at that.
Exactly. Exactly. You are traveling by bus and there's an accident. Some stone comes and hits the bus. You don't become unhappy. You don't feel pain because the bus, you are sitting inside the bus. The bus is, you are not the bus. You may be going at the speed of the bus, but you are not the bus. Likewise, this body is also just a vehicle. The real traveler Atma is inside. So when you are sufficiently practiced in yoga sadhana, you become eventually conscious that I am not this body. Then whatever happens related to the may be an inconvenience, but it is not a cause of misery. Then you go, oh, my hair is turning white. Oh, maybe I should color it. I'll look more handsome. Oh, I'm losing some hair. I'll put a wig. Then I'll look better. Why? Just a vehicle. The real passenger is inside, but we are not paying attention. We are like, the example of bird and the cage. Golden cage we are polishing, but the bird is hungry and it is dying, but we don't care. So this is the practice of yoga, to understand that I am Jivatma, I am not this body. So this can be done in any position. So right now, yes, we are here. I cannot think that I am a soul. If you call me, hey, you stupid, I'll still feel angry. How dare you call me stupid? I am so educated. No, because there is still some identification. So Krishna prescribes this process. He says, okay, so you do karma yoga. Fruits that you are getting. You sacrifice those fruits to me. In this way, gradually you will become free from the misconception that you are a man and you are an engineer. That will be jnana. That will be jnana yoga. Then you will understand you are the soul. Then you will act on that platform. And what will be that activity? That will be bhakti yoga. Then you will understand you are the soul, you are the servant of the Lord, and then you will serve the Lord. So that process will be bhakti yoga. So then you will be completely happy. Then you'll understand this material body is not you. Then you will not think, you will not feel sorry or unhappy for this body. And that will be spiritual advancement. So do it gradually. If you are already free from this misconception, then don't go back and get married and try to raise a family. No, that is not dharma for you. Then your dharma is to do meditation. But if you're already attached to this misconception, you work and you purify yourself gradually. Because the real objective is not to be married or to be a sannyasi. The real objective is to understand that I am the soul and I am the servant of the Lord. Jivera Sarup Hoy Krishnera Nityadas, Krishnera Tatastha Shakti, Bheda Bhed Prakash, that I am his part and parcel. So that is the objective. These are just ways and means. Grahastha ashram, brahmachari ashram, vanaprastha ashram, sannyasa ashram. So take each ashram, take the ashram which is appropriate to your situation, but follow the correct spiritual practice. So in this age of Kali, what is the practice? Hare Nama, Hare Nama eva kevalam, kalo nasti eva, nasti eva, nasti eva, gatir anyatha. Only the chanting of the holy names of the Supreme Lord. There is no other way. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. As Acharya Bhakti Vinod Thakur says, Grahe Thako, Vane Thako, Sada Hari Bole Dako. Whether you stay at home or you stay in the forest, always chant the holy names of the Lord. That is completely all right. As Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells Kurma Brahmana also, stay at home. Stay at home and always chant the names of Krishna. Grahe sthane Krishna nama nirantara laiva. Stay at home and always chant the names of Krishna. It doesn't matter whichever situation you are, but chanting must not stop. Bhakti to the Supreme Lord must never stop. Devotional service is the real goal, not anything else. And everything is eventually to go back to Godhead, not for any other purpose. Thank you very much. Any questions or comments? Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Why is it so difficult for us, conditioned souls, to understand and accept this position of servant of God?
Aha. Because we are too addicted to sense gratification. My Mercedes Benz is very beautiful. My wife is so beautiful. My job, I'm so intelligent. I'm an engineer. Look at my brains. I am the top brain in the world. Because we have this attachment, false ego. So, that is why Karma Yoga is specified. Okay, it's all right. You are an engineer. You have a Mercedes Benz. You have a beautiful wife. Everything is fine. But use everything in service of Krishna. Purify. You have to purify. So it doesn't matter whether you are in a swimming pool or you are in the Atlantic Ocean. You have to swim to get out of the water. So whichever situation you are, no need to lament. Yes, I am so attached. It's all right. Now, how do I get out of here? So just make that arrangement. It doesn't matter. Oh, I am trying to read Bhagavatam, but I am not understanding. It's all right. Chant the holy names first. But later on, when I'm intelligent enough, I'll read the Bhagavatam also and try to understand it. But every step, please make sure, like Srila Prabhupada says, at every step, please try to advance in bhakti. Don't stay there. Oh, Prabhu, I am too fallen. What can I do? I am only a woman. No. Every step you have to advance. This is equally applicable. Man, woman, it doesn't make any difference. Living entity is neither male nor female. It's not that, men are better, women are not. No, nothing like that. Whichever situation you are, you have to advance from there. You can't sit there and say, oh, look at me, I'm a man, I'm so good. No, this is also illusion. I'm only a servant of Krishna. That is the only truth. Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for the class. What does it exactly mean by sacrificing one's fruits of action?
Actually, that's a very complex question. What do you mean by sacrificing the fruits of action? You see, Prabhu, so for that we have to understand what is action. So one may think, I'm growing potatoes in the field. So whatever potatoes come out, that is the fruit. Sorry. So I am growing potatoes in the field. So potatoes are my fruits. Yes, that is certainly there. But it is very subtle also. I have studied in university. I have studied for many years. I have acquired so many skills, so much of knowledge I have acquired. That knowledge is also a fruit of my labor. Knowledge of English, knowledge of mathematics, knowledge of engineering sciences. What about that? What do you want to do with that? If you are too attached and you are working in a multinational corporation earning millions of dollars, yes, sacrifice that money because that's the fruit of your labor. But that knowledge itself is the fruit of your labor also. You studied so hard in the university, you acquired so much of knowledge. You can utilize that. You are an engineer from some top university in the world or in some country. You have some reputation which you have acquired because of that. That is also a fruit of your labor. So if you go and say, I am an engineer from IIT, People will be happy. Oh yes, yes, what a brave, what an intelligent man. But I practice Krishna consciousness. You know, yad acharayet shreshthas. So whatever you do, others will also follow. Oh, he's an engineer from IIT. He's chanting Hare Krishna. So they will also start. Now that degree in itself is not transcendental. I mean, engineering is just a Shudra degree. But because of that, you have some reputation which you have used in service of Krishna. So that is also using the fruits of your labor in service of Krishna. You have knowledge, you go and preach to the engineers. You speak the language of mathematics and sciences, just like Srila Prabhupada had his disciple, Bhakti Swarup Damodar Goswami. So he was a PhD in biochemistry, he was in organic chemistry. So Prabhupada told him, so he wanted to join Prabhupada directly in USA. Prabhupada said, no, 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 you finish your education and you stay in the university, be an academic and start preaching to the academic class of men. If there is a big professor in the university and I go and tell him, sir, please try to understand Krishna consciousness. Naturally, he'll ask me, what is your qualification? Well, actually, I'm a high school dropout. So, okay, you don't know anything yet. Son, please come and study with me, then I'll teach you something. No, but if I go and say, actually, I have a PhD in electrical engineering. Oh, so you are educated. Okay, let me see what you have to say. So, you see, that is also a fruit of your labor. So, there are different categories, different fruits of your actions, and everything can be used in service of Krishna. And it should be used, actually, because Savaya Pumsham Paro Dharmo Yato Bhaktir Adhokshaje. So, yes, it is your duty actually to use it. Out of illusion, you took so many degrees. But now, now you are trying to get rid of that illusion. So, but you can't do it. I can't just forget all my knowledge. I use it in service of Krishna. Does that answer your question? Krishna. Yes. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, Prabhu.
Why are not things solid the same Krishna in the material world? When they are detached from Krishna, why are they not solid the same?
I didn't get it.
Why are things not qualitatively the same with Krishna when they are detached from him?
Oh, why are the things not same as Krishna when they're
Qualitatively the same.
Yes. So if you read the explanation given by Lord Brahma, you'll in Srimad Bhagavatam second canto, actually the whole material world is also Krishna. It's just his body, Like there's an ant crawling on my hand. The ant may not identify that I am there. I mean, it has no capacity to identify me. But I am still there. And I see, oh, there's an ant. I just let it crawl. That is our position. This whole material world is the body of Krishna, Virat Rupa, external body of Krishna. We are just living on it. We are like tiny virus living on that body. And we think, oh, we are so great, So the problem is not that this material world is not Krishna. Actually, everything is Krishna, as we see in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad-Gita also. But the difference is our consciousness, ahankara. Prakrite kriyamanani gunakarmani sarvashah. Ahankara vimoodatma kartaham iti manyate. Prakrite kriyamanani gunakarmani sarvashah. It's the material nature which is acting through the three modes of nature. And that is what is acting. The wind is blowing, my hand is moving. Actually, what is moving my hand? There are muscles and there is bone. And then there are some nervous structure which is moving this whole hand. What am I? I am just a soul in here. It is Prakriti, the material nature, which is running my hand and my feet also. I just I have capacity to think. Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto mattah smritir jnanam apohanam cha. So if I think I am an engineer, that engineering capacity is also coming from Krishna. The engineering knowledge also comes from Krishna. I am just an instrument of desire. I can just desire. Krishna is even fulfilling that desire. It is done by him only. But what is the difference? Ahankar. Ahankara vimulatma. Foolish soul who is in ignorance, who is ahankar, who is living in false ego. So my desire to enjoy this, my book, my table, this is the difference. The table belongs to Krishna. The hand also belongs to Krishna. Yes. No. No, in spiritual world, no ahankar. Like, for example, I am here in this temple.
What I mean is like the suffering.
No sufferings.
Yes, but why is this different?
Because that's the original position. Like now I'm sitting here, some mosquitoes are biting me. If I go and sit inside or I sit in my own house, then no mosquitoes will bite because I have some protection there. It's my own natural position. So I'm peaceful there. So in spiritual world, that is our original position. If a child is lost, like if there's a small child lost in the city, he'll be crying. But if his mother finds him and keeps him with him, then the child will be happy. So in this material world, we are separated from our original position.
Yes, but why this qualitative difference? For example, emotional services. In material world, it's very pure. In spiritual world, it's not like pure. So why this difference?
No, spiritual or devotional service in material world is also pure. It is also on spiritual platform only. So someone who is of the level of a Goswami or one who has realized Krishna is also not miserable. Then he's happy. If one has completely realized Krishna, one will be completely happy. If one has partially realized Krishna, he'll be partially happy. One who has not realized Krishna thinks he's happy, but he'll not be. So happiness means direct correlation to Krishna. As much as you keep on advancing in Krishna consciousness, you'll become more and more happy. Let me give you one very crude example. In this material world, everyone lives in fear of death. Oh, my parents will die, my wife will die, I will die. But a devotee knows, yes, there is death and it's miserable. But after death, there is Krishna also. So, yes, there is some provision that I have. Krishna will save me. So, the fear of death is reduced. Not that a partial devotee like me will not be completely free from fear of death, but at least there is some, satisfaction that after death also I will not be in danger. Neha vikramo nashvasti pratyavayo na vividyate. Swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. So, a little bit of devotional service also frees us from that fear of death. But if I become a pure devotee somehow or the other, then this fear is completely vanquished. Like Prabhupada gives this example. You're sleeping. In your dream, you see so many things. You see a tiger, you see some raging ocean, or you see someone chasing you with a gun, and you are in great fear. And then you wake up. Immediately, the fear is finished. Then you realize, oh, there is no tiger, there is no ocean. No one is going to kill me. I'm in my bed, I'm safe. So, a pure devotee, he also wakes up in his consciousness and immediately understands, oh, I'm just a living soul. I'm not a body. So, there is no fear for me. So, then it becomes like a dream. Then you don't fear this. Then you remain happy. Then it becomes like a video game. You just see in video game or movie, you see something. Some actor is doing something. You don't feel fearful. You see some ghost or some demon in the movie. You don't feel anything because it's not the reality. So a devotee, pure devotee, understands his own nature, and then there is no fear. So that is pure devotional service. Yes. Uh,
Just in
One last
relation
question.
just in relation to the question to the Prabhuji, it's also important to notice that because he mentioned spiritual world, right? But it's important also to know which spiritual world is talking about, because in this sense, we can be speaking about Dwarka, we can be speaking about Ayodhya, we can be speaking about Krishna alone, right? Or Vaikuntha, and all of them are spiritual world, and all the pleasure and spiritual realization there is different, have different
Yeah.
differences. But the main difference, and in terms of this question, exactly why here is like this and there is like that, is in terms of consciousness. Everything is full of consciousness. For example, Krishna love where Krishna lives. Everything, the grass, the animals, the trees are all full of consciousness, are pure consciousness. In difference that here, we as a human being, yeah, we have no consciousness yet until we get to Krishna consciousness properly. So the consciousness that we have is the most higher the reality that we face. So in Krishna love, everything is consciousness. The trees, the flowers, the rivers, everything is full of consciousness. So that's why there is no pain or is no ignorance or not suffering because of exactly that.
Yeah, of course, but his question was why is it like this? So certainly because consciousness, we have ignorance here. We think that this is my I aham mameti. So there is fear here. Actually, there is no material world. Everything is spiritual only because everything is mamaya vansha jiva loka. Everything is ansha of Krishna only, even Mahat Tattva. So there is no misery in that sense. Only our consciousness is the source of our misery. Like the example of the football match. It's misery because people have that consciousness. Okay, so we stop here today. We have the Kirtan now. Thank you very much, everyone. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Madhusevita Prabhu ki jai.
Samaveta Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.
So please stand up.